Welcome to my new channel. In this channel, we're gonna make food that it's gonna be mostly vegan, but there's gonna be some part of it is gonna be not completely vegan. We might use an egg here and there and maybe some dairy, don't get too upset. Today, we're gonna start with my favorite, most used recipe probably I have. It's chickenless meatballs. And it tastes like chicken, it looks like chicken, but it has no chicken. And this is completely vegan, 100%. So in this bowl, I crumbled 2 packages of tofu. And to this, I'm gonna add some ingredients that will add some good flavor. So I'm gonna start with 1 onion. I'm just gonna chop it. You can do it in the food processor, yes. There is a better texture to the food when you just cut it with a knife. Try to chop it as thin as you can. But don't use food processor, otherwise you will lose a lot of the texture that you normally get in any kind of meatballs. So, just gonna peel the 2 onions. Ooh, I'm excited. Chopping the onion, it's gonna be very easy. You don't have to be precise because you can just go to town right after. I'm going to show you what I mean when I say go to town, but so this is not chopping enough. So I'm just going to, again, like I said, go to town with it. Just chop it all the way. Again, you can do it in the food processor. Texture-wise, it's going to be just a little different, but still going to be good. So if you're lazy, which I get lazy a lot of times, okay, just going to add it to the bowl. So I'm going to use 5 cloves of garlic. So the best way to peel garlic is basically to take the back of your knife and smash it, and then it just comes right up. Super easy. I'm gonna use 4 cloves actually, even though I have 5 because they're pretty big. So I don't want it to be too garlicky. And just chop it as fine as you can. So what I actually really like about this recipe is how versatile it is. You can really add it to any dish that you can think of that needs any type of meatballs. So I like to use it to my spaghetti or curry, Thai curry, Indian curry, Middle Eastern food, but it's not overly spicy, so you don't really need to worry about being too specific for one type of cuisine. It's very, very general. There's just like a little bit of cumin and some other seasoning, but nothing too crazy. All right, so I chopped the garlic enough, and I'm gonna add it to the bowl. We need to do also a little bit of parsley and cilantro, so I'm just gonna chop it also. Pretty. These for sure don't put in the food processor. Even if you wanna chop the onion and the garlic, don't chop the leaves in a food processor because it will turn your chicken balls to green, which kind of look weird. It's kind of like, looks processed, so. This is gonna add some fresh flavor, and usually chicken goes really good with parsley and cilantro, so most of the recipes that's actually gonna work really well. We're gonna add it to the mixture. So this is all the chopping and the ingredient, very easy. Paprika doesn't have a lot of flavor, but it adds this nice color, so I want to have this like good color in the paprikas, in the chicken balls, so I'm just gonna about a teaspoon. You can go more or less with the ingredients that you want. This is, again, very basic seasoning. Turmeric, I'm gonna put half a teaspoon. Turmeric won't give us also the flavor, but it will give us some color. The color that usually you have in chicken balls, so that's why it's gonna make it a little more yellowish, because chicken is like yellow-white. So that's for that. Cumin, after all, Middle Eastern, so 1 tablespoon. Last ingredient, half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. This depends on how spicy you like things. I like it spicy, but not too spicy. So that should be enough. Now, So the best and most important ingredient is nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast gives this umami flavor. You know this when you eat chicken or when you eat beef or so mushrooms and cheese have it, it's like a deeper flavor. So I need half a cup of it. So I'm just gonna measure about half a cup. And add it on. Now we're done with the seasoning. The next two ingredients are gonna be for the texture. Normally when you do tofu balls, they're very mushy. And I think that's what turns people off. It feels like you're eating air. I'm gonna use half a cup of bulgur. It's a Middle Eastern ingredient, but it's basically broken barley, crushed barley. It's good for you and it's really, really tasty. But it's gonna give like more like a firm texture into the chicken balls. And when you put it in sauce, it's actually gonna absorb the sauce into the meatballs. So they're gonna be a lot more flavorful. Instead of an egg, I'm just gonna add 1 tablespoon of psyllium husk. And this is gonna give us like a little bit more, it will absorb a lot of the liquid, so it's pretty good. If you don't have the psyllium husk, you don't need to use it. It's fine, you can skip it. It's not like a muffin. And of course, a teaspoon of salt. We used here the cayenne pepper, which gives the heat and opens up your flavor. That opens the flavor up, and that's supposed to be enough. I'm just gonna mix all together until it's gonna become pretty well mixed. It's not gonna be too wet. If you're gonna process the onion and the garlic in the food processor, you might get it a little more wet, but again, the bulgur within 40 minutes or 30 minutes will absorb all the flavors. So we're gonna be good. Now you really need to mash it together so it will come homogeneous. You see how it's coming together. And the more I mix it, the more it's becoming like it's hold itself. You can mix it a little more, so it will be actually even tighter. I am going to bake it because I think it's, first, of course, it's healthier, but I think it tastes better this way. It dries a lot of the liquid out, then you can add it to any sauce. It brings a lot of moisture back. Now, the difference between vegan food and non-vegan food is you can actually taste it. There's no raw chicken in it. So you just taste and see if you like the seasoning, if it's too salty or lack of salt or too flavorful. You can really determine before you bake it. It's really good. Perfect. I don't want to add anything to it. I just want it as it is. I'm going to clean up and then I'm going to show you how you make perfect shape meatballs. I have here the mixture of the meatballs and it's been rested for 5-10 minutes, so it absorbs actually a lot more liquid that way, so it's gonna be even easier to work with. Now, I wanna make the shape, but every time you make shape, if you take it with your hand, you will have one big meatball and one small one, and you want them to be perfect. Why? Because you're OCD like me. So what you're going to do, I'm using an ice cream scoop. So you basically just scooping at the beginning. I'm gonna scoop as many as I can and then I'm gonna work on the shape. So just take it one by one. You don't need to space them on the pan, so do them as crowded as you need, as long as they don't touch each other. You don't want them to touch each other. And then we're gonna go one by one and we're gonna roll them to the perfect shape. This recipe will make you about 50 meatballs. Which is quite a lot, but they're small. So like for me, I eat 10s every meal, but I eat a lot. I like to take just a simmer sauce, whether it's Indian or Thai curry, and just throw them in, maybe some frozen peas, and just serve it with steamed rice with the meatballs. They need to cook together for 5 minutes. They absorb all the flavor immediately. So now we're gonna make the perfect shape meatballs. And after I divide them to equal size, I have about 40 meatballs. Not about, exactly 40. Just gonna go one by one and roll it. If your hand's a little sticky, just put some water, but it shouldn't be that sticky. just work it together. So you bring all the ingredients together, you just roll it, and it's perfect. If you will do the onions and the garlic in the food processor, it's actually gonna be smoother. I don't like it that smooth because I feel like it needs to have some texture. With the texture helps, like when you get the bite, you get more than just one solid texture, which is better. But again, this is a personal preference, so you do you, and I'll do me. So I rolled all the meatballs, and now I'm going to spray them with some olive oil spray. You can use spray or you can just drizzle. And I'm going to bake them in a preheated oven for 380 degrees, which is about 190 Celsius, for 30 minutes until they're golden brown. Okay, so it's been 30 minutes and the meatballs are ready. Let's take them out. Oh, ooh. I got steam all over me. Look at this. So they're already tasty. You can pick them up. They're very firm, spongy, and they're delicious. Oh. This is so good. We're gonna make a dish called Seniyah. It's a Middle Eastern dish of meat or vegetables cooked in a tahini sauce. So we're gonna build it up in this pan and we're gonna put it back in the oven. I'm just gonna show you how to do it. Let me just finish this part. Okay. I'm gonna put about 30 meatballs. Maybe more even, why not? All right, I'm gonna put all the meatballs in and I'm gonna cut tomatoes to half. And just throw them in between. Then we're gonna make the tahini. The tahini is very simple. I'm just gonna use this tahini. This tahini is Alwadi, from Lebanon, and it's by far the best tahini I ever tried in my life, so go get it. I can get it on Amazon, I get it usually. I'm gonna put about half a cup. So tahini, you need to mix half with half liquid. So half tahini, if it's half a cup, you're gonna need to put half a cup of liquid. The liquid needs to be water and lemon. So we're just gonna pour it. So about half a cup. Maybe even a little more. And now tahini, I like it when it's really sour. It's personal preference. So just squeeze it. And put the lemon. And I'm gonna put about half a teaspoon of salt. And I'm gonna get some water. Mix it well. And you see, the more you mix it, it's become thicker and thicker. Because we're gonna bake it, if it's runny, that's perfect. It doesn't need to be too thick. You want it to run so it can penetrate in between the holes of the meatballs and the tomatoes. That looks so good. Now we're gonna put it back in the oven for about another 20 minutes on 450 degrees, which is around 220 Celsius, for about 20 minutes. We're gonna take it out, we're gonna put it in the grill to broil it for another 5 minutes to make it completely roasted. I'm just gonna sprinkle some pine nuts before, but I'm gonna show you how to make it. So 20 minutes in 450 degrees. Take the Seniyah out of the oven and sprinkle some pine nuts. Drizzle some extra virgin olive oil on top. And it's okay, you can be generous. Put the Seniyah back in the oven and broil it on high for 5 minutes. Roughly chop some parsley and let it rain. Thank you guys for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like the video. It is a new channel and this support will mean a lot to me. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next Thursday.